All right, greetings. Welcome back to Blackburn News, where everything is connected. What's up, people? Thanks for being here. Good to see you. Thanks always for tuning in. We're live on X, YouTube, and Odyssey. For the most part, Odyssey has been cool, a little bit buggy here and there, but I think the stream is going now on Odyssey, so that's good. The show from yesterday, the Odyssey show, didn't show up. I went to go publish it, and it is nowhere to be found. Or it's there, but it's not processed or processing, or it's stuck somewhere. So I don't know, for whatever reason. So far, there's no playback from yesterday show on Odyssey, and I apologize for that. I have no idea what's going on. I think that it is just part of the Odyssey experience, that sometimes things are a little bit buggy, but that's okay. Hey, what's up? Victory Jen reposting the stream on X. Thank you. We're going to persevere, people, and do what we can. This is what I feel like when I drink too much coffee. And it's kind of, I might be feeling that way right now. All right. Let's get into it. Seem to be getting some more subscribers on both YouTube and X. I don't know what's happening. Two places that have famously squashed me for so long are allowing me to get followers all of a sudden. Maybe X heard me talking about I'm still unsubscribing because I don't support genocide, and trying not to support genocide with my dollars. I'm trying not to support the military industrial complex with my dollars, or military run psyops with my dollars. I try not to do that. From the Gray Zone, on the ground with Gaza's Trail of Tears, the Gray Zone takes a look at the forced exodus of refugees from northern Gaza as Israel's military deliberately destroys their homes to force them south in a ruthless campaign of ethnic cleansing. I mean, it's kind of like climate change, right? Salt lickers. I mean, pretty much everything. It's hard not to support something terrible with your dollars, because it's like almost all dollars support something terrible. But you got to you got to draw your lines in the sand.
The Gaza Strip, September 2025. Thousands of refugees flee Gaza City as the Israeli army commences operations aimed at total victory and finishing the job. Destroying as much of northern Gaza as possible so that the residents have nothing to come back to. The occupation army advances, striking mercilessly. The last remaining doctors at Al-Shifa Hospital in the center of Gaza City describe daily mass casualty events and report being forced to perform surgeries in filthy conditions, often without proper anesthetics. The all-out military assault on the city, using tanks, Apache helicopters, artillery, drones, and even remote-controlled vehicle-borne bombs, is designed to inflict mass casualties and sow panic, wreaking as much destruction as possible to drive the population south forever. It is by any measure the crime of the century, playing out live for the entire world to witness. What remains, increasingly, is a caravan of desperate war refugees, once part of a vibrant society that, despite decades of a medieval-style siege and occupation, remained resilient and defiant. And now, they feel the full fury of the Israeli military, bolstered by American support, unleashed on civilians in a campaign of ethnic cleansing, all part of a genocide aimed at taking the land and resources of Gaza.
من بيت حنون بسبب الخوف والدمار اللي صار في بيت حنون على جباليا المعسكر، ومن جباليا المعسكر طلعونا اليهود بإخلاءات وبخوف وبقصف وبدمار. نزحت أكثر من 4 شهور في النصر، وقبل 10 أيام برضه كل يوم بنزلوا علينا من 10 أيام كل يوم إخلاءات وتهديد، وبفزعوا علينا روبوتات وبكواد بالطخ وموت وخوف. أنا شريت بولادي معيش ولا إشي، هيك جيت بولادي من الخوف والدمار والقصف مشي من النصر وهيني على الدير. لحتى الان ما وصلتش ومش عارف وين بدي اروح، لا الي مكان ولا الي مأوى ولا الي خيمه ولا الي شيء. هيني جايه على بلاد الله من الخوف، بس طالب الامان لي ولاولادي وخلص. وضع صعب جدا، يعني طول الليل ما نمناش، الكواد بتطخ والطيارات بتضرب وروبرتات بتتفجر وقنابل، مش عارفين من وين اصلا الطخ بيجينا، من كثافته ومن كثافه القصف والضرب. مش مكان، بس انا جايه هيك اقول بدي اشوف منطقه امان عشان ادور على المكان، اول شيء انا ندوري على الامان، لو في الشارع بدي اقعد المهم احس بالامان وخلص، يعني مش اكثر ولا اقل.
Thousands of kilometers away, nations have recognized a Palestinian state. But here on the ground, that feels like too little, too late.
لا هنا عشان الأولاد صغار والنزوح صعب، عشان حياتنا صغار أقل فيها بس مش أكثر. حياتنا احنا خلصت، انتهينا احنا في غزة، بس الوضع سيء. القصف اللي احنا فيه، القصف مش لعبة، موت، هذه فيها حياة أو موت. واليوم احنا وين ما نروح في قصف، وين ما نروح. يعني المنطقة هذه آمنة؟ مش آمنة. جنوب مش آمن، فيش منطقة آمنة. احنا هنا وضعنا حياتنا صعب. أنا رايح على الدير، والدير لو رحنا على الدير كمان في كم من السكان ومن النزوح، والحياة حتبقى صعبة بمعنى كلمة صعبة. والولاد الصغار اللي زي هيك الواحد مش عارف ايش يسوي لهم، بس مش أكتر. احنا طالعين من غير لا خيمة ولا حاجة، طالعين زي ما بيقولوها عشان تتو حاجة على قد ولاد صغار ونمشي بيهم. احنا نازحين من مكان لمكان، رايحين هجيت على المينا، ولو معانا مواصلات يعني نطلع سيارة على الجنوب كان دبرنا حالنا وطلعنا زي الناس، بس خلص نضلنا قاعدين فيش فلوس. ما هو خوف غاد خصف عشوائي وصار يضربوا ويهددوا مناشير واطلع واخلي. وهي الحياة أصلا في غزة، فيش في البلد مكان آمن، كله مستهدف.
All right, good stuff from Gray Zone. Little mini doc there. I don't understand how people are surviving there or living there. It's unimaginable. Abby Martin says, I haven't seen as much footage from Gaza, even though the massacres continue. Then the sickening realization, Israel killed nearly every journalist documenting the genocide. Eleanor Steinhagen retweeting Kashama Sawant. And we're going to hear a lot more from Kashama Sawant, I'm sure, because she's one of the few actual, not controlled real progressives out there. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about Mamdani today, too. Anyways, Eleanor says, Kashama is right. Ending the genocide requires U.S. workers to follow Italian workers' example and shut down the capitalist machine profiting off of it. Ditching the Dem Party and uniting the anti-war and labor movements to end the Holocaust and fight for working class demands is the way. What she's describing there is socialism or collectivism or community. You can just call it community, people helping each other because they think people are worthy of help. You don't have to dress it up in all kinds of ideology or whatever. Just call it community. Solidarity with Greta Thunberg and more than 90 other activists, this is Kashama, who have been detained by the Israeli military in an attack against their courageous effort to break Israel's genocidal blockade and deliver crucial food and medical aid to Gaza. So far, this assault on peaceful activists has been met with deafening silence from the Democratic Party politicians like Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Pramila Jayapal. The Democratic Party had no problem praising Greta when they thought she was safe for them and could be molded into yet another political gatekeeper. Even my pro-genocide opponent, Representative Adam Smith, congratulated Greta in 2019 when she was selected as Time Person of the Year, saying, "Thank you for all that you do." Now, even self-described progressive Democrat Party politicians have turned their back on Greta the moment she started speaking out against the genocide in Gaza, which they are complicit in. And this involvement from her, the stance from her, and the is kind of interesting for people who are, virulently anti Greta Thunberg and anti-climate change, and who have been calling her an op and all that, for a really long time. And maybe, it's okay if you want to think that, but it's harder to take that position, I think, if you actually support people who are, putting their bodies on the line for standing up against genocide. It makes that position a little bit harder to hold on to. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Now, even self-described, anyways, the same Democratic politicians who were also silent when Chris Smalls, who shut down Amazon, was detained and beaten by the Israeli military in July. What's happening in Gaza is the Holocaust of the 21st century. I mean, Democratic politicians are funding Israel. They are not condemning the genocide. They are not putting bills on the floor to condemn the genocide. They are not putting bills on the floor to withdraw military aid. They're not doing any of that. The Democrats support the genocide. And I don't know what part of support genocide you don't detest. You can't hold these people up as your heroes or as the opposition or as, just because, they're not even really anti-Trump these days. They run around pretty much praising him. I don't know why you can't see this. What's happening in Gaza is the Holocaust of the 21st century. More than 500,000 are now estimated to have been killed. More than 400 are confirmed dead from forced starvation. Democrats like Adam Smith voted to ban U.S. funding for the United Nations food aid for Gaza after they knew about the catastrophic mass starvation. The attack on Greta and other flotilla activists is part of a widespread attack on anti-war protesters. My husband and our campaign political director, Calvin Priest, who also arranged for protesting the genocide at a public town hall hosted by Adam Smith in July and is currently being slandered in the media by Adam Smith, who labeled anti-war protesters left-wing fascists and called for their arrest. Stopping the genocide will require protests on a much larger scale, along with mass strike action and mass peaceful civil disobedience. We need actions like we're seeing in Italy, where a general strike has been called Friday in solidarity with Greta and other arrested activists, and where dock workers have refused to load military cargo headed for Israel. Union leaders in the U.S. need to call similar actions, including a general strike. Unfortunately, most top union leaders are tied at the hip to the Democratic Party, and in some cases, the Republican Party. We need new fighting leaders who will break from these two genocidal parties and call mass protests and strike action to stop the attacks on Palestinians, immigrants, anti-war protesters, workers, and oppressed people everywhere, and fight to win real victories for working people. This is also why our campaign to defeat genocidal Democrat Adam Smith and elect the first ever revolutionary socialist to the U.S. Congress is such a crucial part of the anti-war movement. I'm fighting to end all U.S. military funding to the Israeli state and to win free healthcare for all funded by taxing the rich. Well, we've been talking about this story here and there. Jack Coquiarella says, I feel like we're not talking about this batshit crazy story nearly enough. This is Adelita Griyalova. Day 2 in D.C. and still left without a vote and voice here in Washington. She's talking about not being sworn in.
It is day 2 here in DC. Look at me. I'm surrounded by all of these beautiful structures, these beautiful people, all here to work. And am I sworn in yet? No. Do I know when I'm going to get sworn in? No. Speaker Johnson has left the building. And unfortunately, what that means for us is Southern Arizona does not have a voice here to advocate for you. You also don't have services in district. I need to get sworn in order for that to happen. Every day that I am here without being sworn in, Southern Arizona loses. Reach out to Speaker Johnson. Let him know that I need to get sworn in. It is day 2 here in DC. Look at me. I'm surrounded by all of this.
All right. Very shady, shifty stuff. And again, there's a lot of conspiracies floating around. I mean, there is a government shutdown at the moment. There's a lot of conspiracies floating around about what what's going on while the shutdown is happening, and all kinds of they're really hoping that the Epstein files thing dies out or dies down. I don't think it will. I don't think so, suckers. It's probably going to get louder. All you guys are doing, if they would allow things to just be kind of semi-normal for a little while, that's, all the things that the Trump administration is doing are causing people to look at this harder. Right? They're just drawing attention to themselves because they're just fishtailing around and acting like lunatics and trying to goose step this like technocratic state thing, into existence as fast as they possibly can. And they don't seem to understand the unintended consequences, aka blowback, that happens when you do stuff like this. One of those unintended consequences is that people are really focused on the Epstein files, and let's stay focused on the Epstein files, shall we? If they were just any random Democratic administration where it was just like everybody go back to brunch. Hi, we're the Democrats, and we're just really good, nice people just trying to help you out, even though they're, it's lies. We're just trying to help Americans, doopity-boppity-doo, right? If they just would chill out and just let things just be kind of semi-normal for a little while, I'm sure the Epstein files would probably go away because people would be like, what's happening? Nothing? Oh, great. We can just focus on our regular daily life stuff. But like, no. No, the Trump administration is just doing the most every single day. And because they're doing the most, everybody's like, yeah, you know what? They can't get out of their own way. And hopefully they just end up blowing themselves up. Gassing hospitals is a red line for people with morals. Israel attacked the vicinity of Al-Shifa hospital with toxic gas. This is another war crime.
طبعا زي ما انتم شايفين هذا غاز سام ترمي لك كوادكوبتر على المواطنين في شمال غزة في محيط منطقة الشفا. احنا هذا غاز سام بتعز بالكوادكوبتر على هذه المناطق. فعص تشمه.
Well, they can't tell you who.
طبعا زي ما انتم شايفين هذا غاز.
They can't tell you who killed JFK, Timothy, because they would be betraying the people that have by the short hairs. If you want to know who killed JFK, it's the people that are generating all this nonsense in the first place. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about Charlie Kirk. We haven't really talked about him in a while, or talked about the Charlie Kirk thing in a while. But a lot of people are focusing, well, first we'll start with this, but a lot of people are focusing on Erika Kirk because she's got some deep ties or some deep state ties or some deep, she's got deep affiliations with interesting people, and people are asking questions about, how and why and what and how she came to be Charlie Kirk's wife and what she's actually doing there. So Max Blumenthal says the New York Times has corroborated my 9/22 report revealing that ultra-Zionist billionaire Robert Shillman canceled a major donation to TPUSA just days before Kirk's killing. As in the past, the Times did not credit me with breaking the news or link to my report. Which actually raises the suspicion, it raises more suspicion around the fact that it was Israel that had Charlie Kirk done in. And that they're, a deep, deep part of this. This is the man that funds Laura Loomer, by the way, this guy, Robert Shillman. Keep in mind that Laura, this is Candace Owens talking, keep in mind that Laura was attacking Charlie just before he died. And she now demands we stop investigating Charlie's murder. Who is directing her to do that? Who? So funky stuff around. I mean, it's just starting to look kind of obvious, right? The story isn't real. The assassination isn't real. It's, isn't how they told you it went down, is not how it happened. And people are starting to go, man, this kind of obviously looks like, well, who was involved? I don't know. Here's James Lee. We're going to look at two people talking about Erika Kirk. I think Nico House has been doing a lot of pretty good work on this, but we'll look at James Lee first. He says, I really didn't want to get into this, but there is something weird about Erika Kirk's behavior.
I wasn't going to talk about this, but now it's just gotten too weird. I don't know. There's just something very off about Erika Kirk.
There is a lot of content to be had, and we have so many amazing things down the pipeline that we are working on currently that will
unveil in due time.
I am so excited.
Oh my God.
I would not be in this state of mind. It's like Lady. Didn't your husband just get his face blown off like 2 seconds ago? And not to be insensitive about it, but everyone's thinking it. No one wants to be the asshole. No one wants to say it. Everyone's thinking it.
So I wasn't going to get into this stuff because I think it's a little bit too soon. It's a little bit insensitive. I wasn't going to drag Erika Kirk into this, but now it's gotten too weird. And now I need to talk about her. This is undisputed facts. Okay. Erika was born Erika Fransvy. Her father, Kent Fransvy, once chaired the Israel division of the armed corporation Raytheon. Okay. What? Linking her family directly to the Israeli military industrial complex. And then in a 2020 interview, Erika stated that her mother was, quote unquote, getting involved with the government.
She was getting involved with the government, so Homeland Security and Department of Defense.
That's a little bit bizarre as well. And then it says here at age 23, she sets up a Christian evangelical organization called Everyday Heroes Like You, which developed a program called Romanian Angels. And it is suspected of having been involved in child trafficking, Romania being known for such activity and worse. And then you brought this up to me last week. In 2012, she won a beauty pageant owned by Donald Trump. She was Miss Arizona 2012.
It's kind of like the LDS and intelligence, right? Like if you're well-spoken and you can present yourself well, you know, a lot of these pageant girls are very smart. Mm-hmm. They're, you know, disciplined. So that's not crazy, right?
Not crazy. But well, I think that the really disturbing stuff, I think, is her past. Father tied to Israeli military. Mom is in Homeland Security. Somehow gets set up with Charlie Kirk. I've heard some people say that Trump introduced them and they actually met in Israel.
BB waited on the table. What can I get for you tonight? Salmon or the lobster?
It seems that she's not some chick that Charlie met somewhere and then fell in love with. It seemed like she was brought in to almost like seduce him a little bit. I am throwing out a little bit that alleged honeypot kind of language there.
Haven't you learned your honeypot theories get you in trouble?
All right. So that was James Lee, but let's look at Nico House has been doing a lot of coverage on this, pretty in depth. Let's look.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Erika Kirk Romanian Angel story just got even weirder, if that is even possible. At this point, those of you who have been paying attention know that the Romanian Angels nonprofit organization in Romania was created by Erika Kirk and her mom and ran from roughly 2011-2012 to about 20.
Sorry, guys. Hold on.
Romanian Angels was co-founded, had been completely debunked, and I'm here to tell you that's actually 2017. Now, there have been some suspicions and allegations that this organization may or may not have been linked to some sex trafficking that took place with some U.S. military personnel on a nearby NATO base. Now, once that allegation was made upon the death of Charlie Kirk and Erika taking over as CEO of TPUSA, mainstream media rushed to claim that it was falsehood, that it had been completely debunked, and I'm here to tell you that's actually not true. In January of 2020, Anna Maria Nasiu, a former Romanian translator, accused military personnel of having a brothel on base. Specifically, Anna accused Colonel Alder Busher III and his adjutant Lloyd Sparks of operating and facilitating the brothel on the base premises with underage girls. Now, Nasiu claimed that these activities dated back to 2011, right around the time Romanian Angels was co-founded by Erika Kirk and her mother. Now, once again, you'll hear mainstream media over and over again claim that there is no credible evidence linking these allegations to that military personnel or linking these allegations to the organization. The problem is mainstream media is refusing to tell you why there's no quote unquote credible evidence linking the two. And the reason why probably serves as a valid explanation as to why Erika decided to do this nonprofit organization in Romania, of all places. You see, in 2001, the U.S. and Romanian governments made a deal. any criminal activity conducted by U.S. personnel would be investigated and handled by the U.S. government and the U.S. government alone, which means if they were guilty of having a brothel, if that colonel were to be found guilty by the Romanian government or to be found suspected of anything by the Romanian government, we could possibly never know because the Romanian government actually has no power to prosecute him. And Maria, the translator, accused the Romanian government and the U.S. government of a massive cover-up. So I'm like, damn, Maria is making accusations that go back from 2011 to at least 2018, 2019. Maybe it's just a big-ass coincidence and Erika couldn't have possibly known about any of this, except in Erika's promotional video for Romanian Angels. She personally thanks Colonel Busher III, U.S. Army, U.S. Marine Corps, for everything that he's done for her organization. And till this day, she has not spoken about the allegations against Busher. She has not spoken out nor condemned anything that this base has been accused of since she's ended the organization, despite the fact that her nonprofit organization worked directly with the soldiers on that base who were being accused. And this entire timeline of the accusations involving this base just so happens to fall right within the timeline and the window that she was running a nonprofit organization that dealt directly with orphan children. And then she just stopped running it and never really gave an explanation as to why. Nor has she given an explanation how she got directly connected to Colonel Busher in order to get him involved with the nonprofit. But I'm pretty sure that has something to do with her mom being intimately involved with DHS, the Department of Defense, etc., etc., etc. And so not only does Erika have some questions to answer, but so does her mother. And how much does she know about the trafficking and the accusations that took place in Romania that were such a big deal there, a major story there, and yet they pretended and continue to pretend like it never happened.
Wow. Good stuff there from Nico House. This totally lines up with what Cynthia McKinney was bringing forward in the during her tenure as a congresswoman. This is during the Bush administration, bringing up allegations of DynCorp and other military contractors that work for the U.S. being accused of trafficking. And she was run out of office on a rail. At least she didn't end up like Nancy Schaefer and her husband. Could have been worse. But wow, I just saw. Has anybody seen the movie One Battle After Another? It's pretty good. Saw it yesterday. But that actually underscores, that movie kind of underscores how evil, what kind of evil kind of stuff is going on with the people that run the U.S. military, and what kind of shenanigans they get up to. And that part of the movie is quite frightening. OG no planer. Okay. I mean, I feel like it's the more logical take, don't you? Because planes don't behave that way. So if planes don't behave that way, there can't be any planes, can there? But it's really hard because people saw it on TV and they think that what they were seeing was actual footage. And it's hard once you convince everybody that that's what they saw, that it's really hard to convince them that maybe that's not what they saw. But it doesn't make any sense for me for it to be planes. It makes zero sense to me. I mean, that just doesn't. You can't really explain it to me in any kind of logical way that would have me believe that there were actually planes that hit the towers. I don't believe it. Who knows? Again, the way that, if anybody's offended by me saying that, if the way that evidence lines up is that if there's a mountain of evidence on one side of an argument and there's very little evidence on the other side, generally speaking, it's the side with the mountain of evidence. And if the very little evidence doesn't even hold up to scrutiny, then, right? Anyways. Here's Revolutionary Blackout talking about Mamdani a little bit. Nico Loose Change Boys and Luke Radowski told me to stay away from him. Oh, wait. They told you... I'm a little confused. They told you to stay away from Nico? Really? Loose Change Boys and Luke Radowski? That's interesting. That's interesting. Because he was a no-planer? Oh, man. It really makes you wonder, right? How deep the limited hangout goes. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? And then look where Luke Radowski is now and Jason Burmis are now. They're basically kind of in the Trump camp. They still like to act like they step outside a little bit, but they kind of got commandeered into the libertarian Alex Jones MAGA camp a little bit. Right? So it makes you wonder whether they got brainwashed or whether they've been in on the limited hangout all along. It makes you wonder, don't it? So Revolutionary Blackout has been going after Zohran Mamdani, basically for his pro-Israeli views, and that they're saying he's just another AOC. Basically, I have only been kind of vaguely looking at the Mamdani thing. I see who he is and I know who he is. I know where he is. I know what he's running for. I know. He does sound pretty good. He sounds pretty dang progressive and all that kind of stuff. And Trump has come out and said if Mamdani wins, he's gonna stop funding to New York State, which people are like, you can't do that because you don't agree with a political opponent there or something. I don't know. Anyways, he says if you condemn the Palestinian resistance, you are a Zionist. Zohran Mamdani is a Zionist. If you like him because of his domestic policies, fine. Just stop lying to the Palestinian movement about this guy. And he's not going to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. So he's basically saying he's another AOC. And when Mamdani fails to bring prices down, you want to know what will be blamed? Socialism, even though he isn't even a real socialist. This is by design. He believes that international law should be applied universally. Meanwhile, Hamas has a right to armed resistance, so he reveals he's full of shit, and his condemnation of Hamas is incoherent. If someone is willing to say whatever it takes to win, imagine what they will do to maintain power. We have never seen someone start to wedge on important issues and then govern better than expected. This guy is guaranteed to be the next AOC. So listen, he's put up this video saying, you know, this is evidence of him sucking, because he's kind of trying to toe the line on both sides.
Assemblyman, you're running for mayor of New York and not prime minister of Israel, but you've made inflammatory statements like calling Israel an apartheid state and questioning its right to exist as a Jewish state. Just this week, you were evasive with a reporter about condemning Hamas. Given New York has the largest Jewish population outside of Israel, why should voters who see this as a moral red line trust your clarity and judgment?
Well, I really appreciate this question and an opportunity to just clear up, I think, a number of misconceptions. You know, first and foremost, you're right. I am running to be the mayor of the city, and this city will be the focus of my administration, ensuring that we make this a city everyone can afford and everyone knows that they belong to. And also, millions of New Yorkers, myself included, care deeply about what's happening in Israel and Palestine. And so to be very, very clear, of course, I condemn Hamas. Of course, I've called October 7th what it was, which is a horrific war crime. And of course, my belief in a universality.
See, that's actually where you need to stop right there. If you talk about a fake event as if it's real, that's a no-go. That's a no-go, man. Right? If you talk about it as if the real story is true, you're already double dealing. You're already dealing in lies. So that's a no-go.
International law is also the same set of beliefs that have led me to describe what's happening in Gaza.
Anybody who was real, I don't care if you're a politician or what, anybody who's real would say October 7th was a false flag. Israel funds Hamas. They made this happen so that they could carry out a genocide. That is the only line that anybody who's telling you the truth would take. Period.
As a genocide. Because what we see is a war crime being answered with war crimes. And what we see is every single hour the Israeli military killing a Palestinian child for close to 2 years. And it's a horror that many New Yorkers feel so deeply. And
I mean, he's doing basically what every politician is doing, which is, you know, giving you an answer that you find palatable while walking the, while walking the narrative line, you know, walking both sides of the line. And they all do it. They all do it. Man, and Trump is the worst. It's the worst at that shit. Sucks for all the people that voted for him.
My job, I can't stop that as the mayor of the city. I can make clear my own values, my own commitments. And it is a value and a commitment to humanity, to safety, to justice for all people that extends to everyone, Israelis, Palestinians, and everyone else across the world.
And recognizing that people do disagree with you.
Absolutely.
I am one of those people on some of these points.
Absolutely. So. And that you're disagreeing with me doesn't mean that you shouldn't be in the city or you shouldn't be celebrated and part of the city that I'm trying to lead. And I think that's the other part of growing up as a New Yorker, learning that disagreement and difference is part of what it means to be here. And I want to be a mayor, not just for the people who voted for me, not just for the people who agree with me, but every New Yorker. And that means that if a New Yorker disagrees with me about Israel, I'm still fighting for them to make sure that they can afford this city, be safe in this city, and see the city as their home.
Well.
Okay. Thanks. Let's see. So somebody caught this video. Good one, Salt Lakers. But no. Somebody caught this video of Madeline Dean talking to Mike Johnson, calling the president unhinged, and he was like, a lot of folks on your side are too. I don't know if that's an agreement. There, Midas Touch is saying that he agrees that Trump is unhinged and unwell. I don't see this as an agreement. I see him saying, you know, you're calling somebody on our side unhinged. I'm calling your side unhinged. That's just name. It's not an agreement. It's just name calling. But it's an interesting exchange. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this.
The president is unhinged. He is unwell. What are you
folks
doing?
On your side are too. I don't control.
Oh my God, please. That performance in front of the generals, that
I didn't see it.
is so dangerous. You know I serve on foreign affairs and appropriations. This is a collision of those two things. Our allies are looking elsewhere. Our enemies are laughing.
I just left
You
the
have a
speaker's
president
side.
who is unwell. The president.
Yeah, that's just an interesting exchange. Yeah, no, I get the logic of that, Bulla. You know, but I also see it as just, you know, people, they sling things at each other all the time. You're a communist. No, you're a communist. You know, like they're all unhinged and unwell. You know, so many of them. I don't know. What are words for when no one listens anyway? What are words for? Yeah. And, you know, here's Trump selling you out again, just selling you out. Guys, if you like the show, if you want to support the show, and I really need your support, and your support is, you know, really necessary and always right on time, you can support at the links in the description box of whatever channel you're watching on, or the link tree on X. All the regulars are there: PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-Fi, etc., etc., etc. It is no secret Trump is out to lunch. Trump is, who knows? Well, it's early yet, creative. It's early. Anyways, the whole time that they're, you know, RFK is there running interference for the fact that they're bringing you more vaccines and more mRNAs and more, you know, more bad stuff, more oversight, more terrible, you know, health choices and or consequences, and probably less health care, period. Even though they're, you know, whatever. Supposedly he's bringing people cheaper drugs, but that is through a deal with Pfizer. Ha, 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 ha. You think that's going to go well for very long, if it goes at all? Anyways, this is a good little clip on Trump and Pfizer strike a $70 billion deal for more poisons.
So it seems Operation Warp Speed is at it again with the pharmaceutical company. See that guy right there? He runs Pfizer. They're doing a huge investment into bringing more drugs into America.
By the way, I just want to point out, I saw this the other day. They're investing $70 billion into the, I'm telling you, it's when I see all these tech companies just say, oh, we'll give you some money, or, you know, they're getting other countries to give us money. I'm like, man, something is going on. Something crazy is going on. Like, obviously they're just selling, you know, the farm out to whoever, you know, to the highest bidder. But it also, you know, underpins the idea that we are freaking broke, right? And like, we just need cash injection, like at all points possible, which could be behind, you know, the tariffs and all that, right? It's just like, man, we need a cash infusion, and we need it fast, right? You know, I don't know if they're doing anything with it other than pocketing it or laundering it. Probably all of the above. Never had COVID, never got the shot. Good for you, Bella. I never got the shot either. And I got COVID supposedly one time. And that was it. Figured that was good enough for some natural immunity.
And also coming up with a vaccine that's to solve cancer. Let's talk about it. So it's weird that Pfizer and then AI and then vaccines are going to solve the cancer issue when they're causing the issue. You know what I'm talking about? So this comes from Dr. Clark in 1909. Vaccination is the cause of cancer. I never saw a case of cancer in an unvaccinated person. And then someone's going to say, well, vaccines, I've never heard about that. Really, go to Google, type in died suddenly, and go through the 500 pages of people who have died suddenly after taking the vaccines and boosters. So with all those people dying suddenly, and then the cancer cases going through the roof, well, during 1986, government
Are you serious,
put an act
Bella?
to protect Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, all these companies from lawsuits. Isn't that kind of odd? It gets deeper when you find out that the military is also a test subject for this. Soldiers disabled and killed by vaccinations. April 17th, 1950s. No wounds, no damages, no shots, just vaccines. And I'm going to take it back all the way to 1885 when America was aware of this nonsense and wasn't being played by a bunch of Muppets. Vaccinate, vaccinate, vaccinate. There's money in it, money in the side effects. And you see that? See those people holding down that person and vaccinating them? They were aware. So there's some books on the topic, Murder by Injection by Eustace Mullins, and also The Poison Needle. So you can kind of understand what's going on. Not just leave it with one clip. Check it.
No, I'm a big believer in vaccines, polio vaccine. Big believer in vaccines. I know Bobby and you guys have it out a little bit, but he's a believer in vaccines too. But I've seen how great vaccines can be, how incredible they can be. So I'm a believer.
Oh, shit. Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that, Bella. Well, damn. Yeah, good luck, sir, with your surgery. Shit. Are you... So, was it causing issues with your voice? Is that how you found out about it? Yeah. Godspeed, man. Yeah, shit. I'm sorry, man. That sucks. That really, really sucks. Fuck. You're gonna be all right though. Are you serious, Kate? 2 days after the first booster, the second mRNA, I ended up in the hospital with myocarditis. Oh, shoot. What the heck? Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. That really sucks. Are you still experiencing anything, any symptoms of that? Or is it ongoing, or was it just for a short time? I wanted to say, yeah, like not only did I, see a lot of stuff online about people suffering myocarditis, and it seemed obviously that something was going on. I heard stories, real life stories from friends that I knew talking about reactions to the vaccines. So you have no voice. Went to the ENT guy and he said, prescribe antibiotics. And then he looked with the scope and said, no antibiotics for you. Oh, shoot. Whoa. Okay. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, a friend of mine said his uncle had a heart attack and died right after he got a COVID shot. And another friend of mine had a friend who died after getting like their second or third booster or something like that. And they had issues leading up to the second or third booster. She also had, after her second or third booster, I can't remember which number, had a bunch of health complications. I was like, oh, this is obviously, I'm going to just thank my lucky stars I didn't take it. However, on a positive note, I know a bunch of other people who got vaccinated who have not had any physical reaction to it, and I'm glad that they didn't, because I don't want anything to happen to them. It just makes me really frightened that they did get it. Right. Okay, guys. Well, let's see. Yeah, well, Reflect the Sun, if the COVID virus, and which is totally possible. I mean, from what I've read and heard about the possibility that the COVID virus intentionally was there, the spike protein or whatever it was, they did when they fiddled around with it, was there to cause myocarditis. That makes sense. If they both cause myocarditis, I mean, taking the vaccine to keep from getting COVID doesn't seem like a wise choice. Seems like the wrong choice. I don't know what you do, but like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like, they're cutting off your hand to avoid getting carpal tunnel syndrome. It's just not, it's just not a logical choice. Like ever. Like ever. Doesn't make any sense. So what do you do? I mean, I guess you just have to try and like avoid getting it, but like, I don't know. Yeah, I read it. How many read RFK's Fauci book? Yeah, I read it. I mean, just because RFK is now a goon in the goon squad, that book was, all footnoted, and it was a good book. It had real information in it, actually really good information, and it was well done. He just doesn't, he's obviously tainted and controlled, and so he's doing the bidding of whoever it is that's pulling his puppet strings, which is unfortunate. I mean, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Reflect the Sun. Yeah. You wear the N95 mask, purify the air, protect one another from getting it over and over again. Well, what do you think about the natural immunity? Do you not believe in that? And again, you have to risk, whatever comes along with getting COVID in order to get it and then recover from it. I don't know. It's a tough one because it's a nasty bug that they created. So I don't know. All right, guys, I gotta end the show now, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate y'all. I will be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific. And you all enjoy the rest of your day. And until next time, always be worthy.